Well, hello to those who have been able to join us. We generally start promptly at 12 noon or a minute or two after. So I know there'll be other people checking in today, but thanks for those that have joined early. Just to kind of get the conversation going as others are joining in, you can take a little time to answer this question in chat. It's a good way to learn about others that are on the call. Maybe somebody that has a unique talent that you want to connect with or know more about. What is something you know really well? You can interpret that, I guess, in different ways, but in your chat, please go ahead and share what is something you know really well. I always think it's interesting, the wealth of background and experience that we have joining. And you may see somebody pop up in chat that knows something that you need to know more about yourself. Just a way to get the conversation going before class begins. You can enter this into chat. What is something you know really well? If you're new to Zoom, this is the golden opportunity to discover the chat feature and how to use it. We'll be using some chat today throughout our class, so this is a good time to get acquainted with where that is at and how to use it, and a way to kind of learn about some of the people that are joining in today for Neighboring 101. The question, our warm-up question here is, what is something you know really well? What is something you know really well? I see in the chat that we have someone that knows gardening really well. I would need your experience. I'm a brown thumb, I'm pretty sure. Don't have too much success in the gardening area. I'm sure I could learn a lot from Darlene. But before we get started, this is a good way to find your chat feature and to join in the discussion. What is something you know really well? And then we will get started here in one more minute. Others, feel free to join in on the chat. What is something you know really well? What I need to find is someone that knows really well how to get rid of a cough, because I've had one for about 2 weeks. So home remedies are appreciated. And then take some time to read through the chat comments. Always something to learn, and it's neat to see the variety of backgrounds that we have joining in today. Well, I know we'll likely have a few others joining in as we go. We usually have, by the time you give people time to log on, it can sometimes take people a few minutes. If you've just joined in the last minute or two, we're answering this question in chat. What is something you know really well? It's a great way to get familiar with the chat feature. It's a good way to learn about other people that are in this class, because there's a variety of experiences represented here. You may find or discover someone that you need to connect with and learn more from that's in this class today based on something that they know really well. So take just a minute or two, just a little bit of time here in chat to go ahead and answer that question. And if you've already answered and told us about something you know really well, then take a look at the chat responses as we continue to have people join in. Oh, Seneca, throat coat tea. Okay, I'm making a purchase this afternoon then. Thank you for the recommendation. And so, so one last opportunity here. What's something you know really well? Share that in chat so others can learn a little bit about you. And then we'll prepare to go ahead and get started with our Neighboring 101 class. Welcome. This is the monthly Neighboring 101 class. This is where we talk with leaders in the neighboring movement nationwide and discover ways that people are really putting neighboring, this idea, into practice, and the idea of building community, really building your own personal development through this, the art and skill of neighboring. So thank you for joining us. If you, let's see, we may have a few of you that may need to mute. At this point, be sure that you're on mute. That helps others that are participating here today too. So a few warm-up items, and then we'll get right on to our panelists that are joining us. Now, do me a favor. This is another little chat exercise here. I'd like to know how many year collective experience do we have on this call today? So the question really is how many years of professional work experience do you have? How many years of professional work experience do you have? Drop that in the chat, and the Zoom can handle it. If we all post at the same time, it won't be overrun. Go ahead and share with us here how many years of professional experience do you have? How many years of professional work experience do you have? Again, another opportunity to learn more about people that are in this group, but it also, I think, helps us to visualize the skills that are represented here today. I'm scrolling through these quickly to try and get an idea of the average. We've got some long tenures represented here today. I'm just kind of eyeballing this. I'm guessing maybe we have an average of about 15 years of experience represented on this call today. A few in the 40s, which is setting the curve at the high end, but wow, maybe I need to go higher than 15 here. Looking at some of these, even if it was 15, based on the attendance today, at this point, we have 330 years of collective experience on this call, which means there's a whole lot of knowledge residing in this Zoom meeting, a whole lot of experience and ideas. And we want you to feel like you can share that with the group, even as we're having presentations and discussions. Encourage you to use chat to share your impressions and your ideas, because it is another way on Zoom that we can participate and that we're able to learn from others. So please share through chat, and we look forward to learning from everyone's experience on this call today. Just a couple of announcements as we begin the Acts of Kindness Challenge that took place in Greene County on March 20th as part of Mr. Rogers' birthday. We were able to document, people submitted their acts of kindness back through a portal, and we were able to document 837 acts of kindness as part of that challenge. So if you participated, thank you for doing so. It was a fun event, and it was great to see what people were doing as acts of kindness. And our goal was 100, so we had 837. We beat the goal. Makes me feel like that was a success. And then the second announcement is in the Springfield, Missouri area. Friday kicks off our lawn program, which you can kind of see behind me a little bit. Lawn art with neighbors. It's sort of a museum without walls based on lawn art that people have created around the county. I have shared in chat the website for that program. And on that website, you will see a map that you can access. If you're in this area, you can use that map to kind of tour this museum without walls and all the exhibits that are in place. So please take advantage of that. They'll be up. Everybody's art should be up for 2 weeks. I'm putting my yard display up tomorrow, so I'm cutting it close, right on deadline. And if you'd like to learn more about lawn, that's on that website as well, and maybe give you some ideas for your own community. And so then also briefly, this little segment that we always call Advice from My Neighborhood, something that I've seen related to neighboring in the last month. I had a friend share with me a copy, the May 2022 copy of Reader's Digest. I have to tell you, I hadn't seen a copy of Reader's Digest since my grandmother passed away over a decade ago. I was surprised that it still existed. I have to be honest with you. I guess I'm out of the loop. But I was even more surprised when he shared with me this issue of Reader's Digest, because the topic, this is their annual Good Neighbor issue. And in that, there were a collection, pardon me, a collection of 5 different stories of people being good neighbors. And I thought it was interesting to kind of share these, because these are things that anybody can do in any context. And one of the stories was on a retired man in St. Petersburg. He begins his day at a park bench along a sidewalk, saying hello to everybody that comes by and starting conversations with those who want to sit down and visit. So certainly being in public, just being conversational, welcoming to people, something most of us could do. One of the stories is about a man in Missouri whose son and him ended up falling down a well, and it was their neighbors that were their first responders. So that's an important reason to know and be connected with your neighbors, and that was from North Missouri. One of the stories is about a man in New York City who replaces the nets on the city basketball goals that are in his area. He does it on his own time and with his own dime. The article said that in New York City, there's over 1,800 basketball goals in city parks. And but he takes care of the ones in his area and replaces them on his own time. So a great way to be a neighbor. And there was even a story about a lady whose neighbors helped her find her lost cat, and how they connect over cats. So simple ways to be a good neighbor. And I just bring that to your attention in case you come across a Reader's Digest, but also to share this link. Apparently, Reader's Digest annually does a survey and a follow-up story about the nicest places in America to live. And you can actually nominate a town or a business or a neighbor for recognition in that publication. I'll share that link in the chat feature. That is where you go to nominate an individual or a town or a community business for their nicest places in America feature. So I see in chat that a few of you read Reader's Digest or have seen copies. So you're ahead of the curve on this topic and this advice from neighborhood today. Well, let's go ahead and get on to our main topic today, which is I'm throwing a block party. Or maybe we say I'm throwing a get together. Maybe that would be less intimidating. I believe we have some individuals online today that were going to be part of our panel discussion. And we'll see who, I sent a reminder notice out today. I know a few had conflicts, but we'll see who are able to join us, and we'll pin them, pardon me. And we'll pin these individuals then to the front of our Zoom window for our panel discussion. Brambleton, Virginia, were they able to send their representative? I think they had a conflict. Grand Junction, Colorado. Just unmute and speak up if this is you. Arvada, Colorado. Okay. Republic, Missouri. Am I striking out all the way across the board? Did any of the panelists who had visited with me join in today? Oh,
I'm here from Surprise, Arizona.
Oh, surprise! Yes. Oh, good. Larry, let me get you pinned here. And also, Kayla, we've actually watched a video before from Surprise, Arizona, about the community trailers you have in Surprise. All right, am I missing any others then? All right, well,
chat. There's several people in chat.
Yes, Kayla is unmuted. Kayla's representing Grand Junction, Colorado. Looks like several are throwing some block parties. So these were Larry and Kayla were two of the ones that I invited to kind of talk about how their city and community organizes block parties and the techniques that they use with the trailers. And then we'll go into more of a group discussion as well. We'll try and keep both of you there. Kayla, you're welcome to turn on your video if you're able to, if you have stability. And
y'all hear me at all?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay, perfect. Hi, I'm Kalli.
Very good.
Sorry, y'all. I don't know why the sound wasn't working, but hopefully it's up now.
All right, we can hear you now, Kalli.
Perfect.
And I'll drop your contact information in, and when I find Larry's, I'll drop that into chat so people are able to follow up with both of you. So let's just begin with our two panelists here. Kind of describe to us what your city does in this area of block parties and the technique that your city uses to encourage. Larry, you want to jump in first?
Sure, I'll go first. Well, it's 10:15 here in Phoenix, or actually Surprise, Arizona, so I'm wishing everybody a good morning. I know it might be later where you are, but it's 10:16. My name is Larry Garcia. I'm with the City of Surprise. I actually belong to the Human Service Community Vitality Department. That's where the block party trailer resides. We have a block party trailer program where we go out in the community, and this year we will have done by the end of May 30 block parties, which is pretty good for us coming out of COVID. As most of you were shut down for COVID, we were shut down as well. When we resumed the program in October, it just really took off. We had a lot of block parties in October, November, December, all the way up until now. We shut the program down after May when it's 100 degrees, when the temperature reaches 100 degrees or higher, which is pretty soon. We shut it down because it's just too hot to be outside for me, and for the equipment that we have, the sound system, that kind of stuff. Typically what we do is we have an application that I submit to residents if they request, or they can go online and get the application, complete the application. It comes to me. I approved it based on availability. We then reach out to the resident and make arrangements to host a block party. It's very a simple process. The City of Surprise offers a $150 reimbursement towards the purchase of food, as long as the food is prepared food like pizza or a sub, fried chicken. We just don't want anybody handling any raw meat like hamburgers, hot dogs. If they do that, that's on their own. We won't reimburse for that. So typically, once a trailer is reserved, once the block party is approved by me, we'll arrange a date. I bring the trailer out to the neighborhood. The whole purpose is for neighbors to get to know each other, get to meet each other. We have, and I was doing some research on some of the other cities that are represented here. So we have an inventory list very similar to yours. We have a sound system. We've got pop-up tents. We've got coolers. We've got games. We've got a sound system. One of the differences I noticed with our block party trailers, we actually have a city representative on site for the duration. I noticed some of you actually just let the trailer get rented and it goes out and then they leave it there for the weekend and pick it up on Monday. We're actually there throughout the whole process. And usually it's me that goes out with a trailer. I set everything up with the help of volunteers. We require volunteers on site. Once the volunteers and I set everything up, we set up music. I actually am the DJ too, so I play a wide variety of different types of music depending on the crowd that we have. So that works out really well. I've got a bunch of different playlists, so it makes it easy for me to play music. We also recommend block parties are from 2 hours to 4 hours. We don't like to go any longer than that because we kind of lose focus with music and people are just disinterested at that point and they start to leave and there's nobody there. And the point of a party is to have people there to get to know each other. So next year, once we get through this season, we're going to shut it down at the end of May. As I said, we're looking at about 40 to 45 block parties. That will be a successful season for us once we get through COVID and everything, once all the requirements are lifted. So we're really excited about that. David, can I talk about something else real quick that I do here? You mentioned the trailers that you saw the video.
Yes, yes.
We actually have another program here. It's called a Day of Service, and I oversee the Day of Service program. And that trailer, what that does is I coordinate volunteers, and we go out into the community and we help residents with different types of projects such as landscaping. We paint over graffiti. Last Saturday, we had our 5th annual beanbag packing day where we purchased 6,000 pounds of bulk beans, and we had a bunch of volunteers come together and bag the beans into individual bags, and then the food bank came and picked those up. So that's the 5th year we've done that. So that's something else that we're doing at the same time. So we're really, really busy as far as block parties and Day of Service go. So it's really a busy time here in Surprise, Arizona.
It sounds like it. You know, I first learned about your efforts in Surprise, Arizona, because you're in a book by Melanie Warnick called This Is Where You Belong. It's about placemaking and neighboring. And she uses Surprise, Arizona as an example in your trailer program that's used for block parties.
Really? I wasn't aware. I have to look that up.
Yes, I'll send you the link here too. But that's where I first heard about it, and then saw some videos online. I don't know if Surprise, Arizona was the first to take this approach, but you've certainly captured some people's attention in what you're doing.
Well, if nobody's taking credit for it, we certainly will.
That's great. You have a formal, is there a formal contract or something that people do need to sign?
There's an application. It's a very simple process. There's an application online, or they can pick it up at the senior center where my office is, or I can send them one through email. Basically, it just asks for a start time, end time, a number of people, and then they do have to sign off on it, the applicant. And the reason we ask them to sign off is because we want to make sure when we reimburse them, we reimburse a person that has actually signed the application. So it's a very simple process. It's just an application you can go online and get.
I know some cities require or have people pick up the trailers themselves or something. It sounds like,
Right.
I mean, you're really hands-on in your approach to this, it sounds like.
Yes, we are.
And that maybe helps ensure quality of program and might reduce some liability concerns too, I suppose.
Yeah, we're years ago, we actually required insurance certificates, and there was the liability issues. So to remove all those liability issues, we kind of got out of that. So we have an application that's very simple that we ask the resident or the person that's hosting the party to sign off on. And there's also an opportunity for them if they require anybody from the upper city management, the mayor, city council, specific departments, fire department, surprise PD. We have an opportunity for them to complete the form and ask for those people as well. So there's a kind of a one-stop shopping approach that we take, and it's very, very simplified when we do it that way.
Another question or two, because I saw where Kalli had to go step away for just a second, was going to be right back. But so since we have you, Larry, what sort of impact have you seen from the block party program? What it's been going on for several years, I know. What sort of impact do you feel like it's made in your community?
Well, it has been around for, I'd say, at least 10 years. I took over the program about 1.5 years ago. So as I said, I actually got the position I'm in now right when COVID was getting very, very serious. So we couldn't do anything for about 6 months, 8 months as far as block parties go. We did have some day of service projects that we were able to do outside because they are outside. So it was a little bit safer, I guess, for us to do that, but block parties were out of the question. So we, once we opened it up in October, first of all, the weather's gorgeous in October. It's low 70s, 75 for highs. Once we were able to open up, the word spread quickly. We put out a press release and people were just eager to get out and meet with their neighbors and just get outside and do things. So we started booking block parties. We actually had 2 block parties per day on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. So we really just hit the ground running once we're able to go out and start to do these block parties. The response from the community has been outstanding. I mean, there's Facebook pages that some of the local residents use. The city council, every time we have an event, they make an effort to come out, and the mayor supports it. PD goes to our events. Fire department goes to our events to meet with the residents. So overall, it's been a really, really successful program for us, and just the response has been incredible since kind of the lift of COVID.
A great outreach effort at the very least. We often talk a lot about it with block parties or get-togethers, that the point needs to be about connections, not entertainment. In that you know sometimes people get stressed out thinking they have to entertain everybody that shows up, but making it about connection. It sure sounds like that's what you all have been able to accomplish there with that approach. Someone did ask Larry about the $100, what that is spent for again. Larry just went off screen. Yeah, I believe he said that was for food reimbursement, as long as it wasn't raw meat and things of that nature. Larry may be coming back on. Kalli, thank you for being able to join us as well from the great state of Colorado.
Hey everyone, how are we doing today?
We're doing great. Grand Junction, a beautiful,
Awesome.
beautiful city. I'm going to be out there that way again later this summer. So beautiful area, and was glad to see that you were on that list of cities with some expertise on trailers and community outreach efforts like this. Kind of describe to us what the approach is in Junction City, Colorado, and or Grand Junction, I'm sorry, and what you've seen as the success stories from that.
Yeah, so we have about 70,000 people here in Grand Junction. This year so far, we've had about 17 applications, and we started in February. We started getting them in, so doing good so far, I would say. We're estimated to probably do about 30 to 40 block parties this year. So our approach is we manage it through seamless docs. We have individuals go to our website and fill out a seamless doc basically, and on there they'll put in all of the information of the location of the trailer, as well as some liability statements. So we'll normally have them fill a liability for the trailer itself, as well as rules for closing a public right of way, if that's something that they're going to need to do as well. just to make sure that they have all the blockage up correctly. And we can also involve law enforcement if it's going to be a major road and let them know of a potential street closure there. And our trailer that we have has, a ton of toy activities in there, like bocce ball, cornhole. We have giant Jengas, Connect Fours, jump ropes, footballs, even some like dog bowls for water in there, as well as a recycling container, a waste container, some 28 folding chairs, fire extinguisher, and the barricades for the street closures. People are responsible to take out all of their trash and recycling, but at least they have somewhere to contain it if they don't want to use something at home. Overall, I would say we rolled out the program in 2016, and I really need to go back and check these numbers because I feel like they're inaccurate, but as of what I could find that we have recorded, we had 14 uses in 2016, 11 in 2017, 12 in 2018, and then 18 in 2019. We closed down for COVID in 2020, so we didn't issue any permits that year. But and then in 2021 we had 25. So definitely projected to probably do at least a lot more than we saw in 2021. We've kind of used social media a lot more this year, like with Facebook and letting people know about the block party. So I kind of think that's why we've seen a lot more engagement with it this year so far. And then other ways that we work with individuals, we deliver the trailer, but we work with our Parks and Rec department on the delivery of the block party trailers. So we'll make sure we have a legal spot to park it, and we'll drop it off at the location for the individuals from Friday until Monday morning until we can pick it back up. So I guess that's kind of an overview of our trailer program. Do we have any questions?
What sort of feedback, I guess, have you had on the block parties that have been done and this service? Is it, repeat users, I guess would be one part of that, but what sort of feedback do you hear from this program?
Yeah, people absolutely love it. We don't charge people anything for it. So it's a free service that they have. And we've already had someone come back again this year after using it and be like, we loved it so much. We want to rent it again. And they rented it for, another week later this year. We've also have a couple schools that are going to be using it as well. So it, overall, I think individuals love having this amenity, not having to go out and purchase and contain all of this stuff at their house is huge for individuals. So it's, overall, I think it's a really great program that we have, and it's honestly a really fun thing to have, to be able to offer people.
For both of you, it really sounds like the individuals that take advantage of this probably, I would say very likely, wouldn't do this type of block party or get together if that wasn't available. I mean, that's a pretty big undertaking.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, because most people aren't going to have all of those, all of that stuff, and to be for as many people as they want to, invite to some of these events.
Yeah, so I mean, it's a tremendous amenity and a resource that really puts some legs to this neighboring idea and the idea of getting folks together. I hats off to both cities for being so proactive and taking this type of great approach. What are there any lessons that either one of you have learned, I guess, in the process, recommendations you would have to a city or a group looking to undertake this type of approach, something to be wary of or something to consider along the way?
I guess some of the suggestions that we're kind of working on now is potentially doing, like, with the liability that we have, potentially having a fee on there for broken items or missing items, because currently we don't. So if something goes missing, in between, we don't charge the individual for that. So I think that's something we're looking into doing, just because we've had a few instances where major pieces of the trailer and think the items in the trailer had gone missing. So that's something that, I think would be pretty beneficial for the program. But I that's probably one of the major suggestions I have.
Yeah. Larry, how about you? Oh, Larry, you're on mute. There you go.
Okay, one of the things that we do is we actually, as I said earlier, we actually have a city representative on site, so we don't end up losing any equipment. We do an inventory when we unload everything, and then we do an inventory when we load everything back up, just to make sure everything's there. Not that anybody's going to take anything, but there's sometimes there are other people there at the block party with their own tables, their own chairs, their own games sometimes. So we got to make sure our stuff is accounted for. And we try to identify all of our stuff by writing our logos on them or putting stickers on our equipment, so that way everything comes back to us. But I think that's important to have somebody on site. Number one, you can get everything there that you brought to the party, and also gives you a feel of what is out there. Just touching base with the community, meeting with all the residents. You know, I actually play the music myself. That's why when you asked earlier, what I know a lot about is music, and it's funny because I'm doing a block party tomorrow for some of our seniors. I don't know if you're familiar with Surprise, but we're almost connected to Sun City, Arizona here. So we've got a lot of seniors, and the party I'm doing tomorrow is for a group of seniors, and they like different types of music. On Saturday, I'm doing a party for a bunch of kids. It's like a kid zone kind of a thing. So I've got various playlists at a place. So I have a wide range of music that I use depending on what the attendance is. So that's a lot of fun for me, getting to play different kinds of music every day, you know, and do that. I think it's important that you have somebody that represents a city to go out there and do that and be a part of it. So it makes it a lot easier for us.
Well, Larry, it's almost like you have a secret identity or like a superpower. I mean,
Well,
city
David,
employee
I'm
by
glad-
day, DJ by night. I mean,
I'm glad you asked that. Back in the 80s when I was a little kid, I used to be a DJ. So I kind of full circle. I'm going back to where I started. So
yeah, that's wonderful.
But I love
That's
music,
wonderful.
you know, and it's just playing different types of music and watching the, you know, just the reaction on people's face when I play a song that they haven't heard in years, or, you know, the kids when I play a song and they're all dancing to it. It's just a lot of fun. I really enjoy it.
Are we going big band at the one with the senior adults, or?
No, they like 50s and 60s. They like Crosby, Stills, Nash, you know, Simon Garfunkel, Frank Sinatra. So there's quite an array of different kinds of music.
Well, Larry brings the excitement to the party. It sounds like.
That's right.
That's
A lot of
wonderful.
fun.
Well, one final question. I know this has come up in chat for the two of you. Of course, there may be other questions that come up too. But how did this program start in your city? Now I know you're both fairly new to it, but kind of maybe you can speak to the history of it. Did a city council member just bring it up, or did it come out of the Parks Department, or what's kind of the history, the origin?
Oh, actually, I'll go first, David. That's exactly right. We had a city council member about 10 years ago bring this idea up, and of course it had to get approved by the city council because the funding had to come from the city. Once it was approved, it was part of the Parks Department, but through the years it ended up in the Human Service Community Vitality Department. But it was approved about 10 years ago. Then it wasn't used a lot because I don't think, you know, 10 years ago we weren't as familiar with social media as we are now, you know, as far as Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, all the things that we have access to now. So I don't think the word was out there as much as it is now. So now we can put something out via a press release to our communications team, to the newspaper locally here. So at first, I don't know if there was a great response, but now it's just kind of gone through the roof. It's incredible how many people are interested in doing having a block party, especially when we're going to reimburse you for $150 as long as you use that money for prepared foods or anything that's approved on our list.
Yeah. Kalli, how about you in Colorado?
Yeah, so our program was developed basically from the Know Your Neighbor program, and it was kind of started for us to really get neighbors to kind of connect with each other. And that's kind of how the city has started it. For not this year, but in years past, we actually offered micro grants to individuals who were doing block parties in their neighborhood, just as a, you know, extra step to really push people to get to know each other. And So, you know, and like the same thing here is we've had just such a great response with it that it's something that the city has continued to, you know, want to provide for people. You know, we're not at the extent of having someone dedicated to go to every single event, but we do have a community engagement coordinator as well who is going to be using it at the events coming up this year. But
Okay. What is the Know Your Neighbor program? Is that something specific to Grand Junction?
so, I mean, basically it is something that we've had here just for Grand Junction is just a focus on, you know, community outreach and a part of our community goal was to, you know, have an organized network of neighborhoods that will exist throughout the city. And it was a way for people to get together, talk about concerns, and just to build like a more wholesome community here.
Okay, so it's a citywide endeavor and effort then. I know there's some people on this call that have similar types of citywide neighboring approaches that they work with and participate in. So it grows out of that. Well, excellent. Thank you both. I don't know if anyone else has any other specific questions for Larry or Kalli. I do have here at the end a kind of a brand new useful publication to share with everybody that comes from the neighboring movement in Wichita, Kansas. They just put together about an 8-page publication about how to have a successful get together. They purposely avoided using the word block party, but the instructions and ideas would relate to a block party, and so I'll share that here at the end as well. Anybody, any other questions for our two great panelists? How many attendees do these events? What do you think? Estimate average on attendance at block parties?
I'd say for us, the average is about 75 people. We've had the smallest one's probably 25, you know, depends on the neighborhood, but we also do community events where we go out into the schools, and we've had several thousand people at some of those events. There's an event here in Surprise called the Game Night, where we partner with Surprise PD and Surprise Fire, and it's a huge event in one of the parks, and we had about 6,000, 7,000 people there. So the block party trailer is there representing the Human Service Community Vitality Department, but I'd say we probably average about 75 people per block party.
Kalli, what do you think on that topic? You're still, well, have you?
Can you hear me?
There you go. Yeah. Now I
Sorry.
Okay.
So we probably get a minimum of at least 20 people per event, and, you know, I would say up to like 75 to 100 for different block party events that we've held.
Great turnout on both of those.
Yeah.
Another question in chat: do your cities, parks, do you seek grants to stock the trailers, or is it just funded, I guess, out of your regular budgets?
Yeah, ours is funded out of our general city fund here in Surprise. The trailer was already here when I got here, so as far as other trailer was funded, it was already here when I came on board. But most of the stuff is stuff that we can use over and over. You know, if a game gets broken or something gets misplaced, and we can replace it fairly easily. We have a budget that we have for the block party as part of our budget, so that's where our funds come in.
Okay, all right. Kalli, is that the same for you?
So for us, we actually got ours. It was a community development block grant. It's from the it's a federal grant from the Department of Housing and Urban Development program. So that's how we had started the block party trailer to begin with. And then now we basically will use our just regular funds if anything goes missing, or to, you know, replace anything within the trailer itself.
Okay, yeah, that's a great approach with that grant. Mm-hmm. Excellent example. Well, thank you both. I'm not seeing any other related questions, and I know other people. This is a question I do get asked about quite a bit, and so it's actually just going to be really helpful to have this video to point to with the both of you as examples to say, wow, these are two cities that are doing it right, and this is someplace that you can learn more. So it's a valuable for that. I sure appreciate you sharing of your time, and thanks. Please, you're welcome to stay on. I'm not saying that you have to hang up. We'll continue with the rest of the class. We always wrap up by noon, and I want to give people a chance to have a little more dialogue today and discussion, even around this topic. Let's just take about 60 seconds and use your chat feature. And now don't hit enter yet. Just type up your response, and then in 60 seconds, we'll all submit our responses at the same time, and then take about 60 seconds to read those responses. And yes, Zoom can handle this now. The submissions all at one time. It's not a problem, but that's the question. Describe the best block party you have ever attended. Now, if you've not attended one, well, that might be your comment and submission. What maybe what you would like to see in a block party? That would be another approach. But what's the best block party you have ever attended? And just go ahead and type that in your chat box, but don't hit reply yet or enter. We'll do that all at the same time, and then you can scroll and catch everybody's responses in this. So you've got about 20 more seconds to type up your response and answer to this question. Describe the best block party you have ever attended. The best block party you have ever attended. And just coming up on 10, just 5 more seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1, then go ahead and hit reply or hit enter. Now you have a chance to scroll and take a look at what other people's submissions have been. Several of you have not attended a block party of any sort, I can see. So we'll take about 30 seconds to read through these chat items. Wow, okay, that's the end of the minute. Did anybody see any examples they liked in chat? I saw a couple of fantastic examples. These will be shared out in our follow-up with all 500 people that are enrolled in this class. And so people can see some of these examples of great block parties, but several of these are really stellar. And I think it's, I see some rural examples. So it's not just an urban thing. And then I see Kalli mentioned a neighborhood shut down the entire street and everyone had games on their front lawn and grills as well. I like that idea, kind of individualized or to the individual household. So maybe a cornhole on one driveway and giant Jenga on another, and cool idea. Well, hopefully, do you see anything in the list that's of interest to you? Anybody learn anything new from that? Outdoor showing of movies. Well, appreciate everybody.
The outdoor showing of movies looks so fun. I would love to be able to implement that here.
That would be a fun idea. I did hear a slight warning on that from someone who ended up having a little problem. If you do outdoor movie screenings and you really publicize it heavily, make sure you have purchased the license for the movie. If it's if it's something you're doing with just kind of family and friends and close neighbors, it can probably be okay. But if you're publicizing it heavily, bringing people in, you do have to buy a license on most movies. And there's a couple of websites, services where you can do that. Some of them are pretty affordable. I've seen $50, even $100 on well-known movies, but you don't want to get sideways of legal liability issues on movies. So just a fair warning. Well, let me share out this publication today, and for just the concluding bit of our discussion. Again, this was put together by our friends over at the neighboring movement in Wichita, Kansas. They're calling it their Get Together Guide. It's 8 pages, and that is a Google Doc link that will open it for you. And it's a really, I think, a handy tool to help you think about the ways to put together the most successful get together, whether it's a neighborhood setting or even a rural setting. Their suggestion is to begin with, your number one step needs to be finding an ally. And you can see this in their guide, finding a neighbor that you already know who will work with you on the project. 4 sets of hands is better. 2 individuals working together, 2 households can help carry the burden and also help spread the word. But that really needs to be your first step. Don't go it alone. Find an ally who's willing to co-host with you. And then in their guide, of course, one of the steps is inviting neighbors. And how do you go about doing that? Not just a yard sign or hoping people will come, but really you're going to have to put in some promotional effort, whether that's flyers to doors or handwritten cards, something that really personalizes it and help people get excited about it, explain to them kind of what's going on at the party. And this guide that the neighboring movements put together has some ideas about things to do at the party. They do a fire pit friends idea, something called a bubble party, a garage gathering. So I think you'll see some good ideas in that guide on the types of parties that you can co-partner with somebody and the ways that you can help get the word out among your neighbors. Especially, people struggle wanting to do a little get together, but they don't really know their neighbors already or don't even know their names. So you're going to have to hand deliver some invitations and knock on some doors and tell people, hey, this is what's going on. The importance of asking for RSVP so you can plan. I think they made a strong point of that in their program the other day, that having people register and share their phone number is really important. 1, it helps you with planning, but 2, if your plans have to change, if someone ends up being sick or something else happens, you've got to be able to let people know who are planning on being there. That's really maybe even the most important reason for having RSVPs. And then they have a couple of pages in that guide on how to host the party. They kind of outline what it looks like, what your gathering activity can be, how to maybe go about introducing yourself, how to get conversations started really even at your event, and how to really deliver something that people get excited about. So it's just 8 pages. It's a very handy tool, and hopefully you can access that on Google Drive and find that event. All right. Well, our time is waning here. I want to share 2 quick announcements, and then we'll have our final activity and discussion point. So the two simple announcements. Next month, the Neighboring 101 class, our guest will be Damon Hargis from Indianapolis. He is a community listener. If you remember from last year, we had the author on of the book who was from Indianapolis about how they really engaged their whole neighborhood in getting connected and building those connections. And he mentioned Damon Hargis and someone that they had hired him to be a community listener, meeting with people in the neighborhoods and just hearing about concerns and the needs. And that was help drive their approach and their activities. So Damon will be our guest. And then I'll also be giving a report and an update from the Neighborhoods USA conference. I've not been to that before, but I am going in May. And so I'll be able to share with you award winners and ideas from that conference that might also be of use to you in your neighborhood. So one more time through chat, give you 60 seconds to write up your statement today on what you have learned. This is our group anthem. Again, don't submit it until the end of that 60 seconds. And then we'll all submit at the same time. And then you can stay on and read those responses or stay on and visit a little further with me if you'd like to. But the group anthem question here, your takeaway from today, and begin your statement with either I will, something, based on what you heard today. I believe, something from today. I am. How did today motivate you or move you? How are you going to put that into action? You still got 30 seconds here to kind of type up your sentence or statement, and then we'll all hit submit at the same time. So go ahead and be working on that. Take away from today, I will, or I believe, I am. And you have 10 seconds here before we hit submit. All right, go ahead and hit submit your response to your takeaway from today. And then take just a minute or two to read people's responses. Folks, I'll go ahead and end the recording today and share some of these ideas out, but you can stay on and visit and certainly take the time to read what people have posted in chat. Again, we had over 330 years of collective experience on this Zoom today. So a lot of experience and background and ideas, and it's worth sharing, and it's a great way to learn from each other as well. So take a few minutes to read those chat comments, and thanks again for joining us for Neighboring 101 here in April of 2022.
Thank you, David.
Thank you.